All right, let's just jump right into it. Welcome to today's explainer, where we are opening up the enterprise playbook. Look, if you're a busy executive, a technical lead, or an engineering manager, you already know the deal. In a world where milliseconds can literally cost millions, speed and seamless workflows are the absolute lifeblood of your operations. So today, we're dissecting a massive leap forward in exactly that arena: OpenAI's new real-time audio models. And to be clear, we are not talking about fun little AI parlor tricks here. We're looking at a serious strategic toolkit that's designed for massive efficiency gains across your entire enterprise architecture. So, let me ask you something right out of the gate. For years, we've all been completely tied down by text-based bottlenecks, right? The typing, the clicking, navigating through those endless dashboards. But what if the friction of translating your intent into keystrokes simply vanished? Is voice the ultimate enterprise interface? Well, we're finally at this amazing technological inflection point where shifting away from text to natural, immediate conversation isn't just a possibility anymore, it's a profound competitive advantage. Let's look at exactly how this is playing out. Here's the executive briefing for our playbook today. First up, the new voice paradigm. Then, breaking global language barriers. Number 3, intelligent agents for complex tasks. 4, perfecting UX with preambles. And finally, powering enterprise workflows. Okay, kicking things off with Section 1, the new voice paradigm and the strategic shift in architecture. You see, OpenAI didn't just drop one generic tool on us. Notice the two highly specialized models they've introduced into their API. We have GPT Realtime Translate, which is engineered specifically for live dialogue, and then we have GPT Realtime 2, which acts as the engine for action-driven intelligent voice agents. Think of this dual approach as a specific strategy guide for technical leads who need to deploy the right tool for the right job, because these capabilities are what finally give us the processing speed and the complex reasoning necessary to actually make voice the primary interface for your engineering and operational teams. Honestly, it's the difference between using a simple dictation machine and collaborating with a highly capable assistant. Moving right along to Section 2, breaking global language barriers and scaling your customer support. 70. That is a huge number. That is exactly how many different languages the GPT Real-Time Translate model can translate across in real time. For any enterprise, that is just a staggering expansion of your global market reach. Imagine scaling your customer support operations instantly across borders. A customer in Tokyo can call in with a really complex issue, and an agent in New York can provide deep technical support with zero frustrating lag. You are literally breaking down language barriers on the fly and completely transforming how you service a global user base. So how does it actually pull this off? Well, notice how the model doesn't just awkwardly wait for you to finish your sentence. It processes the audio waves and outputs the translated audio simultaneously. But it's also smart enough to wait for key structural words, like a verb, before it actually starts translating. This ensures the result sounds like a completely natural dialogue that follows the actual shape of the sentence. In OpenAI's source demo, a user seamlessly started speaking in French, then got interrupted in German, and the model effortlessly switched between the two languages without losing a single beat. And for the technical leads out there wondering about accuracy, yes, it absolutely nails deep technical jargon. Terms like OpenAI, GPT in real time, and computer use are processed perfectly without the model getting confused. All right, Part 3, intelligent agents for complex tasks and deploying GPT Real-Time 2. Look, if you've ever dealt with standard voice bots, you already know the headaches. They're laggy, they break down completely if you interrupt them, and they constantly lose the conversational context. Now, contrast that old architecture with GPT Real-Time 2. This model introduces something called parallel tool calling. Now, background listening requires immense compute power and incredibly sophisticated reasoning to process continuous audio streams while simultaneously thinking about tasks. But this model can actively execute complex reasoning tasks, like, say, searching a massive database or triggering a workflow, while perfectly maintaining that background listening. You could literally be chatting in the room, and the agent just listens, preserving all the context, without awkwardly interrupting you until you directly address it again. And to really picture this, listen to this actual quote from the Source's calendar demo. Quote, "You have a meeting with Sable Crust Robotics in 12 minutes, and you're meeting with Alex Kim, their CTO." A user just simply asked their personal voice assistant about an upcoming meeting, and the agent instantly pulled this exact context. It checked a personal schedule, parsed the relevant details, and delivered it perfectly, all while staying entirely within the conversational state. For busy executive teams, having an agent that can actively navigate complex schedules on command and explicitly highlight a 12-minute window, that is a massive time saver. Which brings us to Section 4, perfecting UX with preambles and mastering agent interaction. For the engineering managers tuning in, slow down and take note, because this is a critical design law. A preamble is simply an introductory statement made by the AI that explains its reasoning or its actions to update the user. It's an absolutely vital strategy to employ when these new, highly intelligent models need to take a moment to think or pull data. So why do preambles matter so much? Because they prevent the one thing users absolutely hate: dead air. When an agent is using that parallel tool calling to execute a complex action, it might take a few seconds of heavy reasoning. A simple preamble, just a quick acknowledgement like, let me pull the latest context, or maybe, give me a moment to cross-reference that invoice, keeps the user perfectly informed while that thinking happens. Plus, because we're talking about GPT Realtime 2, users can actually communicate directly with the agent during those background actions. It completely removes user frustration and genuinely makes the AI feel like a collaborative partner, rather than just some clunky machine. And finally, Section 5, powering enterprise workflows by connecting the API. Let's bring this all together and trace how that Sable Crust Robotics example actually played out step by step. Step 1. The model listened to a background chat between two colleagues who were discussing an active expansion and a blocker regarding a security review. Step 2. The user then asked the agent to pull the latest context, utilizing that preamble we just talked about, by the way. In Step 3, and this is truly incredible, the agent actively updated the CRM with a brief and the next steps. It did this completely unprompted, based entirely on the conversation it had been quietly listening to. This is parallel tool calling and continuous background listening, perfectly executing a daily operational task with zero manual data entry. And for the technical leads out there, remember, this isn't just some isolated voice app. The true power here is the API flexibility. You can connect these models so they act directly inside the CRMs, your executive dashboards, full-scale ERPs, automated supply chain triggers, and the connected devices you are already utilizing every single day. It acts as a highly adaptable intelligence layer that plugs right into your sprawling existing enterprise systems. The source material sums it up perfectly with this quote: "Voice can truly become the primary interface now." We aren't talking about voice as a novelty anymore. With live translation across 70 languages, background listening that actually preserves context, and parallel tool calling that actively drives automated workflows, we are looking at a monumental architectural shift in how modern enterprises will operate. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. How quickly will your enterprise architecture adapt to the voice-first revolution? The tools to build incredibly intelligent, highly efficient voice agents are now readily available in the API. The playbook is wide open. The only question left is, what are you going to build with it? Thank you so much for joining me for today's explainer, and I really look forward to seeing how you implement these strategies. Catch you next time.